Hey everybody, Will, just in time prepping. How you guys doing this morning? Yeah, I was right. We got the snow. Got to about 3 inches, so it's kind of cold outside, but sunny as hell. I'm gonna do some stuff a little bit backwards because later today we're gonna be having that drawing for that backpack right here. And it's a 3-day, 3-person survival backpack, so somebody's gonna win it. We got some VRs in, and along with the backpack I'm gonna be throwing one of the new stickers in with it as well. So that's all gonna go in the backpack, and the drawing's gonna be tonight live at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time, so it's gonna be kind of fun. And another thing is, I would kind of like to apologize for yesterday's video. The microphone, the external microphone, I put it in the wrong spot, so it sounded like I was muffled. Not my style, you guys know that, but I didn't notice it until one of you guys told me, so lose some and you win some. Also, I don't know if you guys remember about the sheath that we made. It has the saw in it. It also has a compass built in and a ferro rod. And then it has this little string that ties to your leg so it's not bouncing all over the place when you got it on your belt. See, it's got a little belt holder here. So that thing there, I would like to auction that off. I like to keep things mixed up on the channel, you guys know that, so I'm thinking about auctioning that off tonight when we do, after we do the drawing, we start the live stream where everybody just kind of sits around and visits and shoots the shit and whatnot. Let's think about auctioning that thing off, and we'll open the bid at 25 bucks, and that will just be so that it'll cover the cost of everything that comes with it, what it cost me, so think about that as we go about our daily lives today, okay? So, you know, the last video I told you about you need to know 10 things in order to prepare for shit hits the fan. And so today we're going to start talking about those 10 things that you have to do to get there. And it seems like a lot, but it's not really if you think about it. You can do what I do and just have a couple of notebooks that have everything you ever need to know in there. And then when it happens, you just have a referral back. So that's about what I can tell you, but I'm just going to tell you how to do it. And hopefully some of it sticks and some of it won't, I'm sure, but that's just the way it is. Today we're going to talk about threat assessment and some other stuff here. So the source I came from is off the web. I get all my information from the web, and I try to make sure I'm giving you accurate information. Come from a guy called Richardson. You guys might have heard of him. But we have quite a bit of stuff here to cover, so let's get after it, okay? So the first one is threat assessment. And I got my notes written down here. There's a lot. I can't remember it all. Like I said, I have books, notebook after notebook of this stuff just so I don't forget. So the first one's threat assessment, and that's the threats that you'll most likely face in a shit hits the fan scenario. And it's not a one thing fits all type of thing. So there's a ritual or a list of things that you need to do so that you'll know what to do when the time comes. Let me get a drink before we get started here. Dang, that's a nice looking sheath. Orange juice. Nothing like it. Look at that. Oh man, that is pretty, isn't it? Woo-hoo, man. I can't believe it. Okay. First thing is threat assessment, and it's the only way you can really truly be prepared. It's like the middle class Americans, you know. They think of SHTF to be like preparing for a hurricane or something, but that's not really anything to do with it, you know. Maybe a hurricane at your location, but every location is different. So in order to prepare, you kind of have to know what you're facing. So you have to dig down deep and identify the changes that both you face and the disaster. By performing a realistic assessment, you'll be able to identify the threats. Before they become a danger, so you want to look at them before and you want to look at them after. So you want to know that before it happens. So you want to look at the before and the after threat so that you're preparing for it. So the three major sources or objectives that you want to look at is identify, assess, and then manage it. So that's when you go to assess the situation, those are the three things you want to do. You want to identify it, then you want to assess it, and then you want to manage it. So the first step is analyze the most likely threats, you know, for your location is what they're talking about. And the most likely threats that you'll face are the threats that are in your location. So your location might be famous for floods. Joe Blow's threats may be a hurricane. Sally Southern might be volcanoes. So you see where I'm talking about. So natural disasters, the most disasters are the location. That's what I was just talking about. SHTF scenarios would be like the greatest threats, like a political inability, like a chemical or biological or radiological or a nuclear. Also would be like riots, criminal activities, things like that. So personal threats would be like an economic problem, like job loss, home invasion, or debt, something like that. And then security. And then your security threats would be like gangs, criminal activity, or other issues that are affecting your urban status. So what they're talking about there is you want to make sure that you have the security in place to handle any of these small things that come up. And what you want to do is you don't want to wait until the situation happens. You want to make sure that you deal with it and you look at it before and after and deal with it in the middle. So that means that you're going to be prepared for it before it happens. So you're looking and say, okay, we're going to have a hurricane, let's say a flood. And so you'll be sitting there with a group of people from your location, your neighborhood probably, and you'd be saying, okay, well, the floods are going to be here. We're going to know that we're going to be, see, I used to live in an area that flooded all the time. That's why I picked floods. And we would sit down and we would talk about it, you know. We'd say, okay, we're going to be flooded in here for a week. There'll be no way for the law enforcement or anything to get in here. The rain's going to be coming down so hard they won't be able to get any helicopters in or anything like that. The boats could come in, but most of them, because of the way the flooding occurred, the boats, most of them couldn't get to the people that really needed the help. So it was the people inside the flood area that actually had to take care of the disaster. So you can kind of see where I'm coming from here, you know. Without having something in place, you don't really be able to take care of the issues. Some of it is like criminal activity. Like in our neighborhood, it was terrible because we had teenagers, you know, we have an opium epidemic right now in the United States. Well, the teenagers in our neighborhood were on meth. So what they would do is they would use the flood. It was like a candy store for them, because then they couldn't get their drugs, right? So they knew the floods were coming. They would go out prior to the flood, and they would do a bunch of burglaries so they could get some money and go out and buy their drugs, so that when they got flooded in, they weren't sitting there detoxing. So you can kind of see that you have to plan before, during, and after. That's just how important it is for you to do that. That's why I picked the floods, because I know how it is. You also have the gangs, you know. In the neighborhood I lived in, it wasn't really a gang, but all the kids seemed to hang together, you know. So, what are the immediate dangers to your location? This is another question that you need to ask yourself. So, the immediate dangers are things that might stand out. You know, it's happened to you before, or you've read about it, or whatever, but it stands out to you in your head. So those would be obstacles or dangers that are specific to your location, and that would leave you vulnerable. An example would be a terrorist attack, chemical, biological, or radiation from nuclear activity, or criminal, maybe the supply routes would not be accessible. And that was our problem with the floods. Nobody could get in and out with supplies. We would have to be ahead of the program, and everybody would already be supplied. And the ones that weren't supplied, they were kind of screwed. They would be out begging for whatever we had, you know. It was up to each person to know whether their empathy level was at a rate where they would be willing to help them out, or they had enough to help them out. So the next step would be to assess your threats. That is, assess the dangerous effects and figure out how to protect them from them. So it'd be like, how will the threats affect your location, such as your property or your survival plan? See, you know, I'm going to put these down. You guys know, excuse me, I need another drink. Something in my throat. Orange juice. So your area, kind of forgot where I was at. Oh yeah, you're going to want to protect your location plan. So you guys thought that all this stuff I've been telling you before was just thrown out there. It wasn't. I was trying to reel it all in together so it fit into what we're talking about right now. You know, I was telling you about going out and getting the big pallets of food and stuff with your neighbors. Then I was telling you about making a plan with your neighbors, bringing them in to the plan, and getting, you know, all this stuff I've been telling you is all coming together in the steps of survival for SHTF. So the next one would be, how would each situation affect your overall preparedness? So it was that would be like, how prepared are you? Do you have your food? Do you have your water? Do you have your shelter? You know, do you have the necessities that you need in order to outlive the disaster that's coming into your location? Okay. Are the threats that we're looking at, are they in your plan? Now, when we're talking about the plan is like me. I have notebook after notebook with nothing but facts in them to help me make an educated decision on how to live through each disaster scenario. So you would have your own notebook or notebooks of your plan of what you would want to do for the things in your location. So like, you may live in a hurricane location, you may live in a volcano location, You may live, you know, in a tornado location. You know, you all have to have different plans. So that's where the books come into play. You have to have it all written out. You have to have a group of people involved, because you're going to have to take care of the things, not only the food, water, and shelter, but you have to take care of the threats. You have to assess the damage that's going to cause everything to happen. It's like the gangs and the gangs, the supply routes, everything. I mean, everything. You have to be ahead of the game. So then another thing is your security, or any of your preparedness efforts. Do you have all those in place? What steps do you need to take care of your family and your property? That's the big one right there. Are you going to take care of your family and your property? And that's a big thing for when shit hits the fan. I mean, I saw a video last night on YouTube that was saying that everybody that is a prepper has tunnel vision, and they would want to just go home. This is just an example. Don't take it out of context for the person that did the video, but they all want to go home. So your idea is everybody comes from a different place, so everybody was wanting to pack up their stuff and go hauling butts back where their origins are, home, when they'd be better off to stay at the home they have right now with their family and take care of their family and their property. Now you have to know, these are all just my opinions. I'm taking everything from this guy offline, but I'm trying to add my opinion in there so that it kind of give you some personal forethought. So to manage the threats, what can you do to minimize the risk? What steps are you taking to minimize the risks? You need to develop an appropriate emergency response, and that's something that we've been going through on the whole video, is trying to figure out how you're going to make an appropriate emergency response and what to look at for that response. So are you prepared to bug out if the situation calls for it? I mean, if you're flooded in, there's no way you can bug out. But if you have an earthquake or a tornado or a hurricane, something like that, and the damage becomes so unfit to live there, are you prepared to pick up and just go, bug out? Intelligence. Make sure that you're getting all the information that you can from multiple sources, and that would be such as the internet, the internet's a good place to go, but also from friends and from the county. The county has charts. Excuse me. The county has charts to go off of, but you can also get your information offline also. So this is what we're talking about, is looking at the situation before it starts versus after it's over. So you have a plan that'll be right down the middle. So what you want to do is get the information from offline or from the county or from other instances that have happened in your location. And there's all kinds of them out there. So they're saying websites, radios, ham radios, shortwave radios, things like that. You want to make sure you have something like that in place so you can communicate with the outside world in case everything crashes down on you. So, hell, I spent 20 minutes on today's video. That's more than what I wanted to, but tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the planning, the most likely planning that would happen during an SHTF scenario. Hopefully I won't run into 20 minutes on that video. But today's video is kind of piling everything up on top of each other and giving you an idea that you have to plan, and you have to plan very well for all the contingencies that might happen during a SHTF situation that every location that you live in is different from each other. So it's not a one plan fits all. Everybody has to create their own plan. Everybody has to be on top of it. They have to look at the big picture. They have to look at the before it happens, during it happening, and what's going to happen after it happens. So that's basically what today is all about, is get you prepared to make those plans and put them in place. And you need to write it down. You need to go over it with your neighborhood. And you need to make sure that everybody is online with it, you know, because this is going to be very important. It may not be the hurricane or the tornado or the flood or anything like that. It may, I'm not trying to scare anybody, it may be those incoming missiles. So, you know, you have to plan for the worst. You plan for the worst and hopefully you won't get to it. So, that's today's lesson. And we have a few more lessons to go. I'll try to stretch them out a little bit, but I basically would like to keep them close together so that the people that really care about what I'm telling you can take notes or whatever and try to make their own educated plans. So that's what I have, but I really want you guys to think about the drawing too. We're going to have fun with that. Apart from the serious stuff, let's think about the drawing that we're going to have later. The last video I'm going to accept will be at noon, so if you haven't got your video in, do so, okay? Then we're going to draw for the backpack, and then I'm going to throw one of the new stickers in with the backpack. And then after we auction that off tonight and we get a winner, then I will start just a regular old stream, and we'll be sitting around talking to each other. And I know there's a lot of changes going on YouTube. We might want to talk about that, but you don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to auction off this great little sheath that I made with all the tools that are going to be included in it. And I'm going to start the bid at $25. It's well worth it. $25, just enough to cover all the materials and the parts that are in there, the saw, the compass, the ferro rod, and all the leather and the dies. That just covers the materials, and then we'll go from there. So that's all I have for you guys for today. I'm running out of time here. It's a little longer than I wanted to go. But as you guys know, I do this for you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. And it's God bless you, and God bless me, and God bless US of A. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Actually, later.